So hi everybody, this is Allison Ruth, and I am learning how to do voiceover. I wasn't able to speed up my video yet, or at least apply the speed to it so it'd be faster. So I cut out a lot of the boring parts, and this is my very first time narrating something. And I'm just going to show how I got a quilt sandwich ready to attach to some of the other quilt sandwiches. And I'll show some sewing in some other videos after I watch some tutorials on YouTube and maybe get a better idea how to speed it up. Then I won't have to cut out so much. There I am. I'm setting my sunbeam iron for wool with steam because that seems to be plenty hot enough for the 100% cotton fabric that's used in this quilt. I was kind of scared to put it all the way up higher to cotton because I've scorched things in the past. So there you can see there's a 1/4 inch hem on the back of the quilt sandwich that I've already started. And these are going to be sewn together after the tops are sewn on the machine. Then you flip your quilt over and you're going to sew together the two sandwiches by hand with a whip stitch. And that is my hot hemmer, which I got from Nancy's Notions. It has many helpful measurements on it. It makes it a lot easier for me to do a 1/4 inch hem. And it's covered with fuzz, felt or something, so it's insulated. And there I am using my homemade clapper, which is just a piece of wood left over from my stepdad's woodworking. And it really does make your fold a lot crisper after you iron it. It soaks up the excess steam and sets the fold perfectly. Again, thank you to Nancy Zeman, one of her many videos where she showed how to use a clapper. I was too cheap to buy one, so I just went out to the garage. And one of the nice things about this hot hammer, which you can't see right now, it does have one curved corner. So you can use it to mark pockets, make pockets with curved corners. Okay, now I guess I did a little bit of hemming on the other side, because at least 2 of the sides are currently going to be sewn to the rest of the quilt on the bottom after the machine stitching is done. And there I am with the clapper again. Okay, now I am looking at the top there, which I made 16 years ago, of this quilt sandwich, and I found lots of loose threads. I don't know why. I think my teacher had me leaving loose threads for some reason, but I can't remember why. She didn't like us to backtrack when we sewed things together. And now I am, of course, ironing this thing because it's easier to work with when it's not all wrinkly. And you can definitely tell this is my very first ever pieced quilt, and you can see somehow I managed to sew in some wrinkles on the top, but I'm certainly not going to take the thing apart. Incidentally, this may be my last pieced quilt that I ever do. It's a lot of work, and when I started it, I didn't know what I was doing very much, and I still kind of don't. And I forgot to use spray starch, which helps keep everything smooth. So most of this quilt has been put together without spray starch. But the next quilt sandwich, I have the top sewn together, but I don't have the bottom sewn to the top. So I am going to use spray starch on that one and see if it comes out a little better. Like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, ironing it, and it is quite pretty, even though it's not perfect. And just ironing it a lot so that it'll be very easy to put it together accurately. And I should get better seams this way. And I might add the back of the quilt looks pretty bad in certain places, but no one's going to see that. So anyway, here's a lot of ironing here. I guess I wanted to show a lot of ironing, or I forgot to delete some of it. Okay, looks like I'm finishing up the ironing here. And here's how it looks. Or here's how one of the quilt sandwiches looks. And it looks like I'm getting ready to match the other one up with it. Here you get a view of the rather imperfect back. Some of the fabric got kind of caught, and I managed to sew in some wrinkles because I was actually doing stitch in the ditch on the top. and I wasn't paying much attention to what was going on the bottom. But again, no one's going to see that, because when that's on my bed, they're only going to see the chili pepper side. So see, now I folded back the batting and the back of the quilt, because I'm just going to be pinning together the tops of 2 quilt sandwiches, and later on in another video I'll be stitching them together. And there I am, folding everything back. And I've got my little scissors with me because I kept finding loose threads everywhere. And there's my arm. And I'm being pretty painstaking with the pinning because I don't want to have to sew it twice. I want it to look beautiful or acceptable the first time out. By the way, all this was filmed over a week or a week and a half. Whenever I had time to quilt, I just turned the camera on and just let it roll. I think the next time out I will turn it off during the repetitive parts so that I don't have to keep cutting scenes out. This is all new to me, so this software anyway, and the quilt's new to me too. I can see why people like this, but I don't know that I'll have the patience to ever do this again after I finish this one. I may go back to just doing clothing. But it was too beautiful not to finish, even though it sat in the closet for so long. So I'm trying to match up the corner so that it's fantastic. And you get a lovely view of my very busy paisley blouse that I was wearing that night. I think I should have deleted more of these scenes. I tried. I clicked on the trash can when everything seemed to get dull. Okay, you're seeing more paisley blouse in the front of it. Okay, now, what am I doing here? There's my remote for the video camera. Going to do some more pinning. I love the long quilting pins, and I use them in my regular sewing too. They're just easier to deal with. The flat heads and just the very long pins, easier for me to pick up and handle. Didn't know they existed until I took a quilting class in the year 2002. And more pinning. You can see my prayer book next to the remote there. The prayer book lost its cover a long time ago. It's pretty dilapidated. You can't see too well, with my altar with my icons is up there too. And it's situated so that I can pray facing the east, which is traditional in Eastern Orthodoxy. And as near as I can tell, that's the east. The sun tends to rise in that direction. So anyway, here's some more pinning. And pretty soon I'm going to flip the thing over and see if it's lined up pretty well. Oh, and then I'm going, I don't know. It just looked weird, and my instinct was right. It came out a little strange, but it can be fixed without tearing the whole thing apart. Next time I ever start a project like this, I'm going to finish it in the same year instead of sticking it in the closet, because apparently I thought I'd remember which side of the quilt sandwich should point which way to hook up with the other quilt sandwiches, and that information is gone. I've remembered a lot of things as I've been doing this, but that information is gone. There are no notes. This is just like me, too, to tackle a very big, kind of complicated project for my first time out. The only quilt I ever made before this was a baby quilt, which was a simply 2 pieces of fabric around some batting and tied with yarn in various spots. And actually my mom and I worked on that together while I was expecting my first son of 2 sons. Oh, I'm going, I don't know, again. Anyway, that quilt was a lot easier to make. I went to 2 different Sprouse stores to get the Dan River baby quilt fabric. We also made matching bumpers, and someday I'll find pictures of that and put them up here. And there you go. It looks like it's going to match pretty much. And now I am actually getting brave to sit at the sewing machine in a different shirt, different night, and this is where the video ends. There's much more, but it's just so long. I couldn't bear to torture everybody with it. There I am putting thread on, and that is the end. And happy sewing, everybody. I will try to make some more videos with less boring footage and maybe learn how to speed them up someday.